Hey there, welcome to the channel. My name is James, and here at 20th and 21st Movies, we are about all things cinema. All right, today I'm going to share with you my own personal Criterion Collection 4K upgrade philosophy. I'm going to share with you the thought process that I apply to deciding whether or not to upgrade to the 4K format, because there are titles that are in my collection that I have upgraded from Blu-ray to 4K. And then there's titles that I have in my collection that I have on Blu-ray that I've decided not to upgrade. And I'll share with you the reasons that go into that. And I want to hear in the comments section below what your own personal philosophy is when it comes to collecting. As a collector, how do you decide whether or not to make an upgrade when an upgrade becomes available? Do you upgrade at all? Are you against the idea of upgrades? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments section. So on the other side of this, we're going to get into it. We're going to have a community discussion about 4K upgrades. I'm looking forward to this one. It's going to be a nice casual discussion. Let's get into it. All right, we're going to talk about 4K upgrades, and I want to make this a very casual conversation. This is one of those types of videos that I don't really want to do a whole lot of editing. I just want to share with you from the heart, if you would, what my philosophy is when it comes to upgrading, and I just really want to hear from you what you think about it and how you decide whether or not to upgrade to the Blu-ray format or the 4K format, what your thought process is. So I'm going to cover this topic in a few different silos. The first silo is these are titles that I have upgraded to 4K that I have on Criterion Blu-ray. So I have the Criterion Blu-ray originally and I upgrade them to 4K. So that's these titles here. I'll talk about that. Then I'll talk about titles that I have on Criterion Blu-ray that I've decided not to upgrade. So we'll talk about that. And then I've got really two stacks of titles that are titles that I have on Criterion Blu-ray that got a 4K upgrade from a different label first, like Kino or Arrow or BFI, maybe even Studio Canal or someone else released a 4K first, a studio. And I decided to upgrade to that other studio's 4K. So I have those. And then I've got some non-Criterion titles that I'll talk about my philosophy as to why I didn't upgrade to 4K, or in some cases made the decision to upgrade to 4K. So I'm going to cover this topic in a number of different angles. And again, I really want to hear what you think about the choices that I've made. And I want to hear even more so how you go about these decisions. So first, before I get into these titles, I do want to say this right off the top. Ultimately, the most important thing, and we all should know this, and I think you all do know this, the most important thing is the movies themselves, right? Ultimately, regardless of the format that you choose to watch a movie, it really just comes down to the movies. And movies are the king. The movies are the most important thing regardless of format, whether you're watching a movie on an old VHS tape, whether you're watching it on DVD, Blu-ray, 4K, whether you're watching it on a stream, it doesn't matter. Ultimately, the movies are the king. A good example of that is Sunset Boulevard, one of the all-time classics in the history of cinema. It recently got an amazing 4K from the studio, the 75th anniversary. This film came out in 1950. It's one of the all-time greats. I highly recommend it. It is an amazing looking 4K. That black and white classic looks great on the 4K format. But you know what? That movie is amazing regardless of whether you see it on 4K, Blu-ray, whether you see it on an old TV broadcast. It's the power of the film, the story, the writing. It's the film itself that carries the day. So ultimately, what I'm saying is format really isn't incredibly important. It's really about the movies. But because we are talking about format, let's share our philosophy when it comes to upgrades. So I did want to say that up front. It's about the movies because I know I'll probably hear in the comment section about that. But when it comes to format choices, how do we make those decisions? So let's talk about it. These are titles that I had on Criterion Blu-ray that I made the decision to upgrade to the 4K format. Now, when it comes to these are titles that I look at very highly. I enjoy these titles. These are titles that I just put in the highest category for me of titles that I love and that I want to see on the highest quality possible. So in the Criterion Collection, the biggest examples of that, and I won't show them because I've talked about them to the point where if you follow my channel, you're probably tired of hearing about it. Blowout and Thief are two of my all-time favorite titles in the Criterion Collection. When they came out on 4K, had to upgrade those. So those were automatic upgrades. So I'll get that out of the way up front. But then in addition to that, I upgraded Mulholland Drive to 4K, one of the all-time classics from David Lynch. Fantastic film, looks amazing on 4K. This is a title that when it comes to 4K on Criterion or whatever label, I will upgrade, but it has not yet been upgraded yet. That's Rashomon from Akira Kurosawa. So this has not been upgraded to 4K yet, but I expect a 4K soon from Criterion or someone else. And when it does come out, I will definitely get this one. This is one of my favorite Akira Kurosawa films. It's probably my second favorite behind High and Low. Barry Lyndon looks amazing on the 4K format. Stanley Kubrick's classic film, so I had to upgrade that to 4K. Another David Lynch film, Blue Velvet. So again, these are titles that I just love and want to see on the 4K format. There's a level of subjectivity to this. These are titles that I think would benefit the most from a 4K upgrade, and titles that I also loved enough to want to make that upgrade and make that investment. So I want to make that clear. Dazed and Confused looks incredible on the 4K format. So happy to have that on 4K. In just a couple of days, our wonderful friends at Amazon will deliver my 4K upgrade of High and Low. So looking forward to that. This is my favorite Akira Kurosawa film. And then another example is from Jean-Luc Godard, classic French New Wave cinema, Breathless. One of the all-time great films, French New Wave classic, Breathless from Jean-Luc Godard. Looks amazing on the 4K format. Beautiful black and white film. Looks incredible. So these are just a few examples. I have many other examples of upgrades that I've made in Criterion, but that's the thought process that goes into it for me. Do I think it will be a notable upgrade? Do I feel like the 4K will present the film in the best quality? Films that I look at and enjoy the most, I want those films to be in the highest quality possible. And will I get a notable upgrade from that 4K? That's what I'm looking for in deciding whether to upgrade to the 4K format. So it's films that I care about, films that I care about the most, I'll say, that films that I plan to revisit often, and films that I want to see in the highest quality possible. So that's how I decide, okay, I'm going to upgrade to the 4K format for this particular Criterion. Now, the next category of titles are titles that I also enjoy in Criterion, but I decided not to upgrade to 4K because I'm satisfied with the Blu-ray. And even though I like the film, I don't have to have it in the highest quality possible. I'm happy with it on the Blu-ray format. It's not one of my top shelf titles in the collection that I want to upgrade. So, example of that, Punch Drunk Love from Paul Thomas Anderson. I actually need to revisit this film. I saw it for the first time several years ago when I picked it up, and it didn't really resonate heavily with me. And that's part of the reason why I decided not to upgrade to 4K. It's a good film, but it didn't really grab me as much as I would have liked it to when I first saw it. But it's been a long time. I need to revisit it. Let me know in the comments section what you think about Punch Drunk Love. But I'm also looking forward to seeing Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another in a few weeks. So I may watch this before that just to get a little bit more PTA. Wings of Desire. This film here, this wonderful, wonderful film by Wim Wenders. Now, this is a title that's borderline for me. I have thought about upgrading this because I know that the 4K looks amazing for this film. But it's one of those that I go back and forth. Do I want to make the upgrade or not? This is one I may actually do at some point because this was based off of a new restored high definition digital transfer. And I believe the 4K is a new 4K restoration. So in those cases, you can expect a decent upgrade. So I may pull the trigger on this one at some point, but to this point, I have not. Wings of Desire. Same with the Virgin Suicides. Now, in the case of the Virgin Suicides, this is a case where this Blu-ray is based off of a 4K digital restoration. And I believe that same restoration was used for the 4K. And I've heard good things about this 4K, but again, this is a title that I appreciate, that I have in my collection. I'm glad to have it in my collection, but it's not one that I feel compelled to upgrade to 4K. Same with this John Hughes classic, The Breakfast Club. So this was based off of a 4K digital restoration. This was included in the November announcements for Criterion for 2025 as getting a 4K upgrade. My plans as of now are to pass on it and to keep this Blu-ray, but who knows? We shall see. This is an all-time classic from John Hughes. It is a great film. I really enjoyed this film, but again, subjectively, I've just decided I just don't know if I want to make the investment in 4K. I'm happy with the Blu-ray for this title. Same with The Last Emperor. This is a film that I saw recently within the last year or so. I really enjoyed it. It's a good movie, but do I need to have this on 4K? No. It's a film that I appreciated, that I enjoyed, but I can pass on it for the 4K format. Same with Mishima, Life in 4 Chapters, the Paul Schrader film. This is a film that I enjoyed, that I can appreciate. Has really nice cover, by the way. Really nice design, nice glossy slip, or digipack. But it's not one that I have to have in the 4K format. But it's a great film, and I enjoyed it, but I don't have to have it on 4K. Same with David Lynch's Twin Peaks Fire Walk with Me. Now, this is a Lynch title that I enjoyed, but again, I don't have to have this on the 4K format. This Blu-ray is based off of a 4K digital transfer. So same thing with Mishima, based off of a 4K digital transfer. So I'm plenty happy with the Blu-ray in this case. I don't need it on 4K. Night of the Living Dead got a 4K release recently. This Blu-ray is based off of a restored 4K digital restoration. So I decided not to get the 4K in this case. I'm happy with this Blu-ray. And then same thing here, the Rules of the Game. Now this was based off of a high definition digital restoration. And I believe the new 4K that came out probably last year is based off of a new 4K restoration. But again, this is an all-time classic film. I enjoyed the film, but this is not a film that I love so much that I feel the need to upgrade to 4K. So these are titles that I have in my collection on Blu-ray that I have enjoyed and appreciated, that I'm happy to have in the collection, but I don't feel the need to upgrade to the 4K format. Now, that can change, like I said, with Wings of Desire. This is one that's on the borderline. I could see myself potentially making that upgrade at some point. It is an amazing film. I really like the film quite a bit. And it's one that I might make that upgrade for at some point, but as of now, I've decided to hold off. So I've covered some of the Criterion titles that I've made upgrades to 4K. I've covered some Criterion titles I've decided not to upgrade to 4K. Now let's talk about some Criterion titles that I have on Blu-ray that either Kino Lorber or Arrow or BFI or someone else released the 4K before Criterion. Let me get some of my coffee here. That someone else came to 4K first or released the 4K first. And I decided to get that 4K. So the first title I'll talk about is Seven Samurai. Now, Seven Samurai, this is the old Blu-ray digipack. I need to actually glue this bottom back, but this is an amazing edition from Criterion. It's on Blu-ray. It's been out for a long time, over a decade, I think. And it's a fantastic package. If you never upgrade at all, this Blu-ray package from Criterion, wonderful. Seven Samurai on Blu-ray from Criterion, great edition. But BFI recently released Seven Samurai on 4K. And this has Dolby Vision, and it's a wonderful package with even more, well, with special features that are not included on this package, and vice versa. So by having both of these, I feel like I've got a nice collection of special features. I have the 4K format here with Dolby Vision. I have just all the extras from both of these editions. So I feel, a pretty complete Seven Samurai between Criterion Collection and BFI. Now, BFI is also releasing this Akira Kurosawa box set that has Seven Samurai and several Akira Kurosawa titles on the 4K format. That's coming out, I think, in December, so be on the lookout for that. Another title is The Wages of Fear, Henri Georges Clouzot's all-time classic. I have it on Criterion Blu-ray. Criterion released a 4K of this title, but not before BFI released a 4K of it. So this is the BFI 4K of The Wages of Fear. And again, you've got special features on here that are not included on here and vice versa. So when you put them together, you have a nice collection of features for The Wages of Fear from Henri Georges Clouzot. So love that. The Silence of the Lambs, got it on Criterion Blu-ray here. Amazing edition from Criterion, but our friends at Arrow Video released this in the UK on 4K, in this nice 4K edition with Dolby Vision. Absolutely fantastic. It looks amazing on 4K. You have a bevy of special features in addition to the features that are on here. So again, you have a nice collection for the Silence of the Lambs. When you combine the power of Criterion and Arrow together, it's a super powered edition of the Silence of the Lambs. Got a few more to share here. Videodrome. So I have this Criterion Collection Blu-ray, which I love. And then Arrow Video released Videodrome on 4K and 4K Dolby Vision. So I got a complete edition of Videodrome based on that. I love the Criterion Collection's packaging of Videodrome. It's one of the all-time classics. It's got this Betamax like vibe to it. It's like a Betamax tape. Really cool. I love that packaging for Videodrome from Criterion. Looks great. Criterion released this on 4K within the last year, I believe, but I had already gotten this Arrow 4K, so I'm actually happy about that. Same with Dressed to Kill. Dressed to Kill, Criterion Blu-ray, Kino Lorber released a 4K of Dressed to Kill. So our friends from Kino Lorber are getting in on the action, so I have a complete edition of Dressed to Kill based on that. In the Heat of the Night on Criterion 4K. Now, In the Heat of the Night is I think recently, yes, has already gotten a 4K from Criterion, but our friends at Kino already released a 4K of In the Heat of the Night. And in addition to that, in this Kino edition, you get They Call Me Mr. Tibbs, the 1970s sequel to In the Heat of the Night, and The Organization, the 1971 finale to the Poitier-Tibbs trilogy. So these are the features on the Kino edition there. But yeah, between these two, you have a complete edition for In the Heat of the Night. And last but not least, we have some Billy Wilder action, Some Like It Hot. Kino has released this on 4K, and great stuff. I think I heard someone say that this went out of print, but then I was able to go on Amazon and order this. So I don't know if that's the case or not, but I do have it in my hands, and I'm happy to have this all-time classic from Billy Wilder starring Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis, Some Like It Hot, and of course, Marilyn Monroe. Can't forget Marilyn Monroe, but I have this wonderful edition for Some Like It Hot, combining Criterion and Kino Lorber. So there you have it. So I've talked about Criterion titles on Blu-ray that I've upgraded to 4K, titles on Blu-ray and Criterion that I have that I decided not to upgrade, and then Criterion titles I have on Blu-ray where someone else came first. And now I'm going to talk about, when it comes to making upgrades to 4K, some non-Criterion titles, just a couple of examples where I've made decisions to not upgrade. One example is one of the all-time best films from Martin Scorsese. If you ask many people, what's your favorite Scorsese film? They're going to tell you, in many cases, Goodfellas. I have this on Blu-ray, have this on this very simple Blu-ray edition, no thrills, no frills, very simple Warner Brothers release. You see all the goodies inside, just the disc. But yeah, this is it. I have this on Blu-ray. I have not upgraded to the 4K format. I know it came out on 4K, I think a couple of years ago, and I don't think it got the best reviews. I think there's some controversy around the Goodfellas 4K release. Let me know in the comments section, those of you who have it, what you think about it. But I never upgraded it to 4K, in part because of those reviews, but just in part because I just didn't feel, as much as I love this film, and you would think that this would be one that I would want on the 4K format, and maybe someday I will, but for now, I'm perfectly happy having it on the Blu-ray format. So there's some subjectivity to these decisions. Now, last but not least, I'll talk about a superhero trilogy of films and 3 formats. This is Christopher Nolan's The Dark Knight Trilogy, and I upgraded my Blu-ray of The Dark Knight to 4K. So this is, prepare to be wowed. This is one of Christopher Nolan's best films. It's probably the best film in the Dark Knight trilogy. And so I had to get this on 4K. This is an amazing film. It's not just a great superhero movie. It is a great movie, period. Perfectly executed, beautiful, beautiful film, incredibly acted. Heath Ledger won that Oscar posthumously. Just an amazing film, playing the Joker character. Amazing film. So I did upgrade The Dark Knight to 4K from Blu-ray. Its sequel, The Dark Knight Rises, with this lenticular slip, I got on Blu-ray and I did not upgrade to 4K. Did not feel the need to upgrade to 4K. I actually rewatched this just in the last week or so. This is an amazing film, folks. The Dark Knight Rises, I think, gets a little bit of a bad rap. This is a really good movie. Actually, I think Mega Mike says this is his favorite film, but when I rewatched it, I was like, I was thinking about him. I was like, you know what? I can definitely see why someone would think this is their favorite film. This is a really well-made movie. It rises almost to the level of The Dark Knight. It's a great film. Epic in scale and scope. Fantastic film. Bane is fantastic in here, Tom Hardy. And I think it's a well-executed, well-done movie. But I decided not to upgrade to 4K. I'm perfectly happy with it on the Blu-ray format. And then the film that opened the trilogy, one of Christopher Nolan's early films, his first foray into the superhero genre, is Batman Begins, which I have on this wonderful DVD right here. I never upgraded it to Blu-ray. I never upgraded it to 4K. And at this point, folks, I don't think I ever will. This is a DVD edition of of Batman Begins that I think I'm perfectly happy with. And I have really no need to upgrade this to any other format. And I think this is an amazing film. Batman Begins is another great film. It's a great way to open this trilogy, and it's a really solid movie from Christopher Nolan. So this is the trilogy of films that make up the Dark Knight trilogy, and I have them on all 3 formats. So I have Batman Begins, which I'm happy on DVD. I have The Dark Knight that I upgraded to 4K from Blu-ray, and I have The Dark Knight Rises, which I got originally on Blu-ray, and I'm perfectly happy leaving it on that format. All right, so let's take a few minutes to talk about the benefits of 4K versus Blu-ray. And I'll do this in real summary format. I'm not a technical expert on these things, but really it comes down to 4K usually offers better overall picture quality. And it offers better overall picture quality for 2 main reasons, at least from my understanding. One is resolution, which is not the biggest determination, but resolution is a determination in picture quality because you have more pixels, so to speak, and more detail in the image. This is something that you don't appreciate as much on smaller screens. In terms of Blu-ray versus 4K, it's harder to tell the difference, but the larger screen that you're looking at, if you're looking at a 65-inch screen or larger, you can begin to appreciate the differences in detail between Blu-ray and 4K even more because it's on a larger screen. So there's that detail and definition difference going from 1080p to 4K resolution. But even more so, a big difference comes down to cases where a 4K has what's called high dynamic range, or HDR, whether that's HDR10 or Dolby Vision. And what HDR gives you is that higher dynamic range, meaning you get a greater appreciation of blacks and whites and that spectrum of colors. So you have a broader spectrum of colors that's presented in the screen in terms of bolder, brighter, more vivid, rich colors. And you also have more dynamic representation of the full color gamut as well as the grayscale. So you get better gradations in blacks and grays and whites, and you also get a better differentiation of whites versus darks in a screen. So that's what high dynamic range gives you, a better representation of all of those things versus what you would get on the Blu-ray format. So high dynamic range allows you to get a more realistic picture based upon that. So that's the benefits in general of 4K over Blu-ray. And it really becomes a bit of a subjective exercise in comparing a Blu-ray of a film versus a 4K of a film. So there you have it. Those are my thoughts when it comes to 4K upgrades. Again, like I said in the beginning, it's ultimately about the movies. The movies are what is most important. It's not so much about the format, it's about enjoying the films that you love on whatever format you choose. But there are decisions that we as collectors make in deciding what format to enjoy these films on, and I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I want to hear in the comment section what your own personal philosophy is when it comes to making upgrades to 4K. Let me know in the comment section below, what do you think about this video? What is your overall 4K upgrade philosophy? How do you decide what titles to upgrade to the 4K format? And what titles do you decide you're perfectly happy with on the Blu-ray format? Let me know all that in the comment section below. And as always, thanks for watching, and we look forward to seeing you next time at the movies. Peace.